This video is going to feel very different from the previous one. Well, the previous one kind of focused on Rick and Morty and the discussion not being here as much as it used to be. This one's going to mainly focus on just how I feel about the season as a whole. Spoilers? It's lighthearted fun. But speaking of discussions surrounding Rick and Morty, if you didn't know, I recently stumbled upon Work in Progress, which is an up-and-coming creator who has just been talking about Rick and Morty recently. That's really brought his channel up to the forefront. So shout out him. I want to watch all of his Rick and Morty videos after this eventually. And also, by the way, if you have any favorite episodes of Rick and Morty or basically any other show, let me know. I want to do some more episode reviews on things, and I'd love to start a series looking at the best episodes of things. I think that'd be really fun. I think one of the main differences between this season and the prior ones is that it was always mostly episodic, but there was always something serialized spiced in between. While this season takes it a step back and is fully episodic with some callbacks to previous episodes, because now Rick and Morty has enough lore where it can just do that. Like episode 6, it feels like a spiritual successor to the ABCs of Beth, which isn't looked on too fondly by the fandom, rightfully so, but I thought this episode was a good way of calling back to the lore that episode established. It was about Beth and Space Beth, still feeling apathetic with their lives, going through the motions. One way or another, they both become kids, and just become the most evil, destructive kids imaginable. Man, poor old Gene. He didn't deserve that. There was also a B plot, but it kind of just felt like busy work to get Rick away so this can happen and he can bond with his daughters later on, which he did by calling both of them his daughters because they are basically their own beings now. I like character stories like this, so I liked what this episode offered me. Episode 7 felt like an homage to the interdimensional cable stuff, but with a twist this time being Morty and Rick are just in the movie now. Weird that James Gunn was very in this episode though, because at this point the only thing he had out while underwater is his Creature Commandos. What's really funny seeing Zack Snyder though. Episode 8 was a Jerry-centric episode where this other Jerry comes and takes him on this odd dimension riff-hopping journey. I didn't think I'd like a Jerry episode outside of the Jericky thing that happened in the previous season. I hope I got that name right, but I thought this as well was a really fun and lighthearted episode. Before this, and I guess Space Beth, they've shown mostly Jerry, Summers, and Beths to mostly be the same in different dimensions. But if there's like an evil Morty and a dumb Rick and a Rick Prime, it makes sense that there be different versions of Jerry out there. And they're all here having a whole place of their own, like some sort of weird citadel of Jerry's type of situation going on. I don't normally talk about music much anymore, but this Jerry episode had Send Me On My Way played twice, which is weird because I mostly associate it with Ice Age, but apparently it's been in a lot of pop culture stuff, and including Big Mouth. That wasn't the only song played in these bunch of episodes that I watched. The episode when they were stuck in the movie played a parody of 1 Week, and I haven't heard that song in forever, let alone a parody of it. And the parody was actually good. Like, I enjoyed it. I mostly associate that song with the Digimon movie, so it's just weird to hear it in here. Although they did play Mask Off in the episode, Rick had a bender with those dragons, so I guess it's not that weird? Anyways, the point of this video was to talk about the finale of this season and how insane it was overall. It follows how I said these seasons are structured to a T, but the callback in this was to Memory Rick from the Bird Person episode last season and Diane. Yes, we get yet another Diane episode, which makes this the 4th or 5th time we've seen her face, but like the 2nd episode she's a part of. I really feel like one day they're just gonna say fuck it and bring her back, but this time instead of a fear conjured up version of her, it's a memory of her, his last memory of her, the only one that didn't go away when Rick Prime erased her from existence. Similar to the Fear episode, we're focusing on Rick and his wantingness to move on, but the inability to until the plot demands it. In the Fear episode, it was because Morty was going to die, and here it was because Beth was going through it. Memory Rick implanted himself in Beth's mind and basically trained her from her memories to go save the last memory of her mom, so he can have it. But by doing so, he was screwing with Beth's mental stability. She couldn't decipher right from wrong. She killed Space Beth temporarily and almost drove off a cliff. Rick had to tell her, again after the previous Beth episode, that he's there for her and he always will be. And they hugged, and Rick somberly takes the essence of Memory Rick and Diane and shoot them off in this mini world floating across space for eternity, for them to be with each other forever and ever. The one thing he cannot have, he willingly gave to another Rick. They do tragic and beautiful really well in the show sometimes. But I'm not gonna say they should constantly do it because I don't want any weird meta rants from Rick towards me. But with that being said, what are your opinions of this season of Rick and Morty? Let me know in the comments down below and I'll get back to you guys as soon as I can. Okay, goodbye.